Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about stretching. So we know from previous videos that we want to be holding our stretches for a minimum 2 minutes, even longer if we can tolerate it. And as we spoke about before, force is the language of cells. So it takes at least 2 minutes for our cells to actually listen to the message that we're trying to give it and to actually open up and create some lasting tissue changes. What I haven't really gone into too much detail about yet is how important it is to learn the skill of stretching. So we all have different bodies, we all have different ranges of motion, we all have different histories of our lives and of our joints. And for that reason, everyone's stretching is going to be slightly different for it to be the most effective for them individually. So I'm going to just take one stretch just to apply some examples. So let's take a hip external rotation stretch called the 90-90. So got this front leg in a 90-degree angle, which is an external rotation, and then from here we're folding forwards, and we want to feel that up in the hip capsule somewhere, maybe glutes as well. Alright, so what if you're a person who doesn't have a whole lot of external rotation in their hips? You're not going to even be able to get into this position to begin with. So we're going to have to modify it. How can we do that? Yoga blocks are a great tool. You can place a block underneath the knee. So as you can see, that's a little bit less external rotation. Take another block. We can sit up with the hip like this, because some people might be so tight in their other hip that their other leg isn't comfortable like this. So now, for some people, this might be a really deep stretch, and this might be the perfect level for them to do this stretch. Now, some people might get some knee pain while they're doing this. They can adjust the position of their ankle in order to get rid of that pain. You might find certain angles just feel better for you on that. Now, I've mentioned this before in some social media posts. It's a great idea to vary your stretches. So just like when we're doing bench press, if we're only doing a barbell bench press with the same grip, the same weight every single time, our body's going to adapt to that, and we're only training a certain line of tissues in a certain motion. So we're going to be missing out on loads of other ranges of motion. So we're missing out on that wide grip, we're missing out on that narrow grip, we're missing out on the dumbbells, we're missing out on incline, decline. So there's so much other stuff in our chest, in our arms, in our shoulders that we could be working and getting strong in. Not only that, if we're only using one variation, we're going to plateau very quickly, and because our body is going to accommodate to that stimulus. Same thing with your stretching. If you do the same stretch the same way every time, there's so much that you're going to be missing out on. So for this external rotation stretch, I've already talked about the foot position. You could bring your foot in closer, you could reach it further away. With your torso, you could twist more one way, you can turn more this way. You could even shift your knee further out this way or across that way. There's so many little variations, and that's just one stretch. So what I want you to do is, when you're stretching, I want you to play around with your position, and I want you to find those positions in which you feel the most stretch and the most tightness. And that's where I want you to spend some time. So play around with your stretches, find those lines of tissue that you feel the most stretch in, Work on that for 1 session, 2 sessions, maybe even a week, and then vary it up. Once you feel like you're getting some more range of motion in that angle, then switch it up. Find a new tight area. So yeah, really important, guys, with our stretches that we're finding ways of modifying stretches that feel right for us, and we're varying our stretches to find those different lines of tissues where we're tight. So yeah, stretching is definitely a skill, and it's a skill that nobody really learns. We just kind of tend to copy what we see and do the same stretches the same way all our life. Another thing, guys, I think I have mentioned this before, but when we're stretching, we want to be as relaxed as possible. So in ROMWOD, they're always saying, try to fall asleep in the pose. That is definitely very much the case. So say you've done your 2 minutes, 3 minutes, even longer, 5 minutes passive stretch, and you're just relaxing as much as possible, trying to let go of everything. Then when we go and do our pails and rails, that's when we create that irradiation. So we're going to squeeze our core, we're going to squeeze our chest muscles, leg muscles, glutes, arms, everything. And say, for example, if we're doing pails and rails for this stretch, so we're driving the ankle into the ground for the pails, and then we're trying to lift for the rails. We're using all of that tension in our body to create as much force as possible in that pails and rails. Again, force is the language of cells. We're sending a bigger signal to our nervous system, telling it, I can create some force here, it's safe, you can let me go a little bit further. And then you spend that another 30 seconds at least, maybe even longer, back in that passive stretch after your pails and rails. All right, guys, I hope you found that helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next video.